first heard about the competition when the Friends of the Fallbrook Library sent out an email to a whole bunch of artists that they knew of, inviting them to submit proposals.
It was a national competition. Artists from around the country, the region solicited their work, and the artists that were chosen through that juried competition were all of the highest caliber.
Of the art opportunities that were part of the request for proposals, the one that I chose was the trellis because it was architectural. My fascination is to work with architects and basically develop the feeling and the emotional reaction people have to a sculptural form in a space.
The title of this sculpture is Turning the Page, because the sculpture says that as we turn the pages, we learn.
There's just something about a book that's open, when you see that drape of that page as it's laid open, that's just so beautiful and so evocative of everything having to do with reading. The idea of that page turning really worked beautifully. And I wanted to capture that element, especially once I saw what the architect had designed in terms of the building, because the architect is essentially a sculptor as well. The most challenging part of creating this particular sculpture is apparently nobody's ever done something like this before. So it's not something an architect or an engineer can look at and say, oh yeah, we've built those things before, they work great. No, they look at it and they say, I've never seen anything like this before, but I don't see any reason why it wouldn't work. We're designing the entire structure in a computer. It's a structure that can only be designed on a computer. It's a virtual model that accurately represents the structure and how it's going to be assembled.
Initially, I was happy we had the project because it was something that we were counting on building. And then at the same time, it was a little bit of panic, like, okay, how are we going to build it now? We've taken Christopher Pardell's work and turned it into reality to make up the sculpture. Probably the most complex thing we've dealt with. Nobody's ever built it before.
The structure will basically be assembled like a jigsaw panel. It's not actually self-supporting until it's completely assembled.
The size of this sculpture is approximately 17 feet wide, 35 feet long, and about 14 feet tall. The approximate weight of the sculpture is about 7,800 pounds. When we complete the sculpture here in the shop, we will lift the structure with a crane, a 40-ton crane here in the yard, and place it on a flatbed truck that's going to be hauling it down the highway to the location of the library. Once it's secured to that trailer and fastened down, we will do a full inspection on the sculpture and the truck that's doing the haul. So once it goes out, it's going to have a 4-car CHP escort all the way down the 15 freeway to Mission Road. It should leave here approximately 3 a.m. in the morning and be at the location of the library by 5 a.m.
What we're going to have to do is get a very tall crane, because the only way to approach that site is to lift the structure entirely over the entire completed library building.
We'll be lifting this structure up approximately 60 feet up in the air with the crane that can reach all the way from Fig Street to the location of the garden reading area. So that distance is probably about 155 feet.
very satisfying to have it done, to have it in place, and to have it look the way I envisioned it looking. But the real test is how the public responds.
Sculpture is a strong statement that speaks for that transformative ability of both art and the library. Both have that power to change lives as well as capture the essence of life. The library says that as we turn the page, we find ways for people to enhance the quality of their lives. The sculpture does the same.